Oh wow, we are live, but we're not live on Twitch again. I have to change the
boy.
title on Twitch again, guys. So we're live on YouTube and Facebook, but again, Twitch is always telling us that we need to change the title because they don't like something in the title. I think it's
Both of our titles.
Wait, you muted yourself in the middle of talking. What did you say?
Both of the titles are pretty spicy today. How about you just change it to AR News number 142?
Yeah, okay. So for Twitch, I'm gonna just say AR News what?
Number 142.
Number 142. Okay. So let's see if numbers are offensive to Twitch as well. Okay, so here. All right, so we should go live on Twitch. This is a good way to remind people that we're live on YouTube, Facebook, but also, are we live on Twitch? Let me see. Go live on Twitch and also on Twitch. So if you want to follow us on Twitch, link in the description. Okay, so we have Fatima in the live chat. We have Neville in the live chat. We have H.
My audio.
Why are you swearing? God damn it. So Susanna is having technical issues, but she's swearing. And because she's swearing, and we're now deprioritized, so you please share our videos, okay? So Susanna is having technical issues. Anyway, we're gonna be covering the news as soon as look at her face. Like she's looks so concerned and confused. Look at her. Yeah. Okay, so while we wait for Susanna to figure out the technical issues, I'm gonna highlight some of your comments in the live chat. Fatima is saying, "Oh damn, Armin looking younger today." Really? How that happened? Idris is here.
There we go.
Yes, you swore.
I'm sorry.
You guys. This video is now gonna get deprioritized on YouTube. Like we're really trying to get on the good side of YouTube, and Susanna just ruined it for us. Okay, so you please share our videos because we can hear you.
I don't know what was happening to my mic today, so if that happens again, I'm just gonna have to refresh, and hopefully that's.
Yeah, but you swore. You have to tell people to share. Tell people to share the video because this video is completely deprioritized by YouTube right now.
Please do it.
Yes.
Lo siento.
Okay.
Armin looks extra energetic. That's funny because he barely slept. So.
Well, and Fatima was saying you look younger today, so that's great. Oh wow, Rivka is here too.
Hey!
Hey, Rivka is gonna. There we go. Everybody, guys, we need. Okay, so since Rivka is here, we need to fix our names. Susanna.
Oh my gosh! Wait, I'm losing touch today.
Rivka is being a boomer, talking while she's muted, like usual.
I thought you were so serious and concerned about making sure the names were correct. And
but okay, yeah, but when you're not here, it doesn't make sense that much for us to do that. So okay, great. Now that you're here, we all have it here, right?
I'm okay. Headphones and see if it's better today. This set.
Yes. Okay, cool. That's fine. All right, cool. So we're gonna be covering the news. Look at this person who thinks like Ryan's an ex-Jew. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, Ryan, you think that's not a thing? Then you're an idiot. If you think that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Our Holy Trinity. Oh look, we have live people in the Twitch live chat. Sonia, hello, Sonia 70. All right, so we're gonna be covering the news today, as you saw in our title. The news today is like very heavy. Is really bad, right? So that means that this video is not going to get recommended anywhere. By the way, Sonia on Twitch, you're not going to notice our title because Twitch is like a baby, all right? When it comes to titles, apparently we can't mention anything serious in the news on Twitch. So you're not going to see the title. You're not going to notice the title. All right, Ina is on Facebook. All right, so guys, we should get started. We should get started on the news, okay? So, Susanna, are you ready? Are you gonna be a boomer as well? There's 2 boomers today. Are you ready?
Oh well, with that attitude, no, I am ready.
All right. All right. Okay. Can I clap for the first news?
No.
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 You just got done saying it was serious and really bad.
Yeah, I know. I was just. There's only AJ saying it. There's only two clappable news today. Damn. Why is it so bad today? All right.
Not necessarily.
Okay. All right. First news.
It's 2020, Armin.
Pretty much. Okay. Right. First news. Militant Islamists behead more than 50 in Mozambique. Over 50 people were recently beheaded in Muatide village in northern Mozambique by militant Islamists. The militants turned a football field in the village into an execution ground, where they decapitated and chopped the bodies, other reports said. The militants were associated with the Islamic State, or IS, or ISIS, giving the terrorist group a foothold in southern Africa. The group has a pattern of exploiting poverty and unemployment to recruit youth in their fight to establish Islamic rule in the area. The latest attack was likely the worst carried out by the militants. Mozambique's government has appealed for international aid to curb the insurgency, saying its troops need specialized training.
50 people at the same, in one day?
Over 50 people over a period of a couple of days, from from a Friday night into a Sunday morning, I believe. This happened last week when we were as we were covering the news, basically.
Some people I hate to break it down like this, but some people were beheaded at the village. Some people were abducted. Some women were abducted. Then they moved on to another place. Then they were catching people as they were fleeing. I mean, it was just heinous.
A massacre.
Okay. And do we know?
Bashir. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Bashir.
Thank you, Bashir.
Here, Armin, fully supportive of your cause. Great. You got someone who has your back, Armin, and it's Bashir.
Thank you, Bashir. Thank you so much. Do we know why all of a sudden this all happened at the same, in such a short amount of time in Mozambique? Do you have what's the background behind this? This seems crazy. We haven't had a story like this for a while.
Well, there was an episode in Mozambique within the past couple months of another really bad ISIS related or associated militant group massacring a village, basically. And it basically is mainly driven by resources. That's the impression that I've gotten anyways, based off of the research that I've done. I could be wrong. Like I said, they exploit poverty and unemployment to recruit people into IS. And part of this has to do with the gas resources in the Cabo Delgado province area. The beheadings are just the latest in a series of gruesome attacks that militants have carried out in the gas-rich Cabo Delgado province since 2017. So a lot of it has to do with trying to take control of resources. The insurgents are trying to, take control of the oil fields that are in the area.
Okay, we got a super chat from AGA.
Thank you, AGA.
Thank you so much. That's a lot. 10 Australian dollars from AGA. Thank you so much. Whoa, that's a major super chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
That's very generous.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention something though. I haven't seen people talk about this much.
Really?
50 people.
I have.
Yeah. Well, you are different, Susanna. You hang around places where people on average, average people this is 50 people. I think it's just because it's Mozambique.
That's why, so who I've seen talking about it is a lot of people who are involved in this Charlie Hebdo, French secularism conversation. So I've seen kind of two flavors of talking about it, neither of which I fully appreciate. So one is people saying, "Oh, how did French secularism? How is it to blame for this?" Making fun of people who are basically saying that French secularism was what caused the recent rise of terrorist attacks in France. And then there are other people saying, where is Black Lives Matter in this, blah, blah, blah. Neither of those I appreciate, because that fully detracts from the lives that were lost in this village. Like, that's not the issue at hand. Like, you're using this event and this massacre for your own narrative against other people's bad apologetics for stuff, right? So I don't appreciate people detracting from what actually happened here in Mozambique.
I do think it's fair to point out that this is not getting the attention that it deserves, because I think African lives don't matter to people.
Yeah. Part of what happens also is last time that there was a big attack that we covered a few months ago, partially because of the areas that it takes place in, partially because of language barriers, and probably partially because of, unfortunately, the lesser importance that people put on events like this that happen in Africa. It takes a little bit of time for this news to actually hit like Western shores or Western media.
No, but I think if anything like this have happened in any other country that people generally care about, it would have been like spread shockwaves across the planet. Do you know what I mean? Like, 50 people were, like, let's say, beheaded in, I don't know, even in a country like, I don't know, even in Eastern European countries, forget Western European countries, it would have been like crazy. And then also a lot of people think, I mean, I think a lot of people think like ISIS is also like gone, right?
ISIS.
Oh yeah, well, you already said that. Okay, so ISIS is gone, but the thing is that they're still there doing things. They're just doing it in countries where people care less about, right? They're doing their thing like they used to. They're just doing it in countries that people don't care much about. Anyways, Rivka. Rivka, your microphone is touching your blouse.
Okay, I can't win with you.
All right, it's okay. It's not me, Rivka. It's the audio. It's not me. If the audio sucks, I'm going to tell you the audio sucks. What do you want me to do? But go on.
Persians. Anyway, so I was going to say that also there are more Christians in the area that they're doing some of these beheadings than not. Now, it may be also sectarian, but there also happen to be a more Christian area. Then the thing about Susanna's point about it taking days sometimes to get to this media in the West, especially the Anglo media, like you probably would see it in the French media a little bit before, but even then, sometimes you can find out, even sometimes the bylines are 10 days even after. So there is this delay. And then with regard to people not caring about it, I would say there's a large percentage of the population who doesn't even know where Mozambique is, had never heard of it. It was pretty, basically just in the background of even parts of Africa. People heard of Zimbabwe, but they hadn't really ever heard of Mozambique for real, And so there's that, people just realizing that it even exists and where it is. And some of the things that I've heard as well is that this isn't just a result of French secularism. I've heard, Wogadishu, folks from Wogadishu making this argument about how it's colonialism from France, of course. That is actually the reason for this. And yeah, he mentioned that Macron did talk about it, but that's not surprising. That he is discussing these kind of things in his country. Plus, then also the relationship in France and certain parts of Africa and in the French press. And so, yeah, that's not surprising. But yeah, it's really a big issue that some of them, they're also saying that it's foreigners and insurgents from outside the country, or these outside agitators or outside insurgents are arming some of these people within the country. I mean, that's been some of the discussion as well. So, and apparently this kind of started in October-ish. This has been an ongoing campaign of murder for a while. And
what I was referring to earlier was the attack that happened in April, where there was more than 50 people who were beheaded or shot dead in an attack. So that was back in April that happened, and that wasn't just 50 people straight up beheaded. That was a combination of murder. And then apparently, I didn't even hear about this, earlier this month, 9 people were beheaded in the same province.
And also a lot of this particular area where there's this big escalation of ISIS action, insurgency, and it's been increasing, and foreign fighters are coming in. You were mentioning resources. Yeah, it's a very forest rich, gas rich province. So it's potentially valuable resource laden area. Oil and gas. So you have timber, oil, gas, these kind of things that you could potentially sell. And then also the fact that it's densely forested makes it easier to wage, guerrilla warfare too.
Yeah, for the attack that happened in April, it took almost 2 weeks for news of it to reach English-speaking media. Yeah, the pictures are just horrifying.
All right, I'm going to read some of the comments. Wait, so this one is okay. No, okay. Paul is saying, "Never again the virtue signaling, poppy wearing masses declare, lest we forget. Yet the act of genocide has been. Well, I don't think this was genocide, but okay. The act of genocide has been and is allowed to go unchallenged by the world's powers, despite the promises made post-World War II and the international laws that followed that were supposed to prevent and punish such acts. When I see our governments wearing poppies whilst also acting as the world's biggest arm dealer, selling to the likes of Saudi Arabia and ignoring acts like this, it makes me sick." Okay, so as much as I would like to join Paul in criticizing the world for not doing more to stop these things, the agreement it's really easy to crap on international organizations, and especially the United Nations and all these agreements, for not managing to get these numbers to lower than they should be. But let's be fair, they had an impact. Like they had a major impact. Like we haven't had world powers. I mean, there's still a lot of misery, a lot of war, a lot of killings, a lot of genocide, but it has been reduced significantly compared to what was the norm before. And these, like, the people like, oh, United Nations doesn't get much done. I mean, the world without United Nations would be much crappier than what it is right now. Like, there is no other method for countries coming out and pressuring each other. Yes, obviously they fail a lot, but the times that they do not fail do not get as much attention as the times that they fail. Like, even right now, that, I mean, when it comes to wars within the most recent wars, like, there is no other alternative other than the already existing agreements of international organizations for countries to sit together and be like, hey, okay, let's come up with a plan to do an alternative. When it comes to pressuring countries to do more about even this news, there is no other alternative. So these organizations, these agreements fail often, but they also succeed often. The world is a lot better place right now because of all those international agreements that came into be after World War II. It is much differently. Like, please do not throw out the baby out with the bathwater just because you see examples of failure. Rivka, you had your hands up?
Okay, so yeah, I was thinking about this oil and gas stuff, and I remembered, and I looked it up on a security firm news site, and indeed they were saying, so since 2017, they're saying about 2,000 deaths from the attacks. Close to 500,000 people could be potentially homeless. But what they were mentioning in particular was in 2010, they discovered all these gas fields in this Cabo Delgado area. And so they have 3 liquefied natural gas projects called LNGs. And so these facilities could potentially be worth, according to this, security, firm that does security for projects like this, it's estimated to approximately cost 20 billion and production to start in 2024. Projects headed by Exxon, ENI, CNPC, all these billions of dollars. So there's been not just attacks on villages, but attacks on these sites as well. And the sites themselves have actually forced people out. So this issue of people being forced out and made homeless, and resources and scarcity of resources, is really being played upon by these groups, because people are already having issues prior to that from some of them being forced out from this gas project, plus the potential for it to be costing money, plus the potential for IS to mess up all this, also Western and projects with the government, all kinds of things. It's like a perfect storm. They couldn't have written it any better if they had decided it for themselves.
Okay, so I'm gonna just finish reading the last 2 comments before we move on. Darn is saying evil and gruesome things are happening to Africans on a daily basis. No one around the world seems to care. If this happened in a European country or the Americas, the entire world would be disturbed. And the last comment I'm going to read is by Bobby. Bobby is saying it also. By the way, it's not nobody, like people are talking about it, but yes, much less. That's what you mean. Bobby is saying it also says women were kidnapped. I think being beheaded is better than what those women are probably going through. I don't know about that, but okay. So, should we move on to the next news? Can I clap for the next news?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, sir.
All right. Next news then.
Next news. Child sexual abuse in the Catholic Church was swept under the rug. In the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom's Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, or ICSA for short, has released its final report on the Catholic Church, condemning the Vatican's failure to cooperate with the investigation as passing understanding. The over 150-page report stated that the, quote, church's neglect of the physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of children and young people in favor of protecting its reputation conflicted with its mission of love and care for the innocent and vulnerable, end quote. From 1970 to 2015, the Catholic Church in England and Wales received over 900 complaints involving well over 3,000 instances of child sexual abuse made against more than 900 persons, including priests, monks, and volunteers. The Church invariably failed to support victims when survivors brought their complaints to church authorities, and consistently protected the alleged perpetrators by moving them to a different parish.
I just want to point out, because some people are saying, well, we already knew this. Oh my God, you don't say. Obviously, this is nothing new. This is very important. Like, this is not, this is new. This is new because we have an official government report. And as much as we guys, like, you guys want to, like, say, yeah, well, doesn't change anything. Everybody knows this. No, this is like a major. Can you, like, tell us, Susanna, like, what is this different, having this report come out from the government? Where is it? What's the significance?
This is an internal church document from the country of the Vatican. Am I
Oh,
not correct?
really?
No.
Isn't it?
No, that was
Oh.
before. This is from
So-
UK.
Yes, the independent
Oh, okay.
inquiry.
I'm sorry.
Go
the,
ahead.
the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse in England and Wales was announced by the British Home Secretary on July of 2014. The inquiry was established to examine how the country's institutions handled their duty of care to protect children from child sexual abuse. So this is an ongoing, kind of like a board or an ongoing investigation into a number of institutions across the United Kingdom. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the Ex-Shia report on the Church of England. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously if you're not familiar with branches of Christianity. That's a completely different organization, completely different institution. The Anglican Church is different from the Catholic Church. So now this is the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. I know that Ex-Shia has also done an inquiry into the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Watchtower organization, as it is also known, and its branches in the United Kingdom. So this is independent from the Catholic Church. This is extremely important because it is an independent body from these institutions to hold them accountable for their lack of failing their duty to care for children or young people from sexual abuse specifically. And it is also important because this organization helps bring to light the ways in which these organizations fail to cooperate with government authorities as they go through these investigations.
I really think the title of this article really failed miserably, okay? Because everybody is going to look at this title without clicking on it, and they're going to be like, okay, really? Of course, right? Like, look at the title.
Yeah.
Child sexual abuses in Catholic Church was swept under the carpet, and they're gonna completely miss the point of how significant this news is, right? This news article is about something very new, and the fact is that we have a major government finally stepping in with reports, and I know this is very slow. I know it's infuriating to have to wait this long for something like this. And I know this is just the first stop of holding the Catholic Church responsible for their crimes in a country as significant as the UK. But it is a major step. And the title makes it seem like it's just the news is about something that we already know. The title should have been like, the United States government holds the Catholic Church responsible, or like comes out with a report or makes it official, something like that. But this title, like, most people are not going to click on the news on it and just be like, tell us something that we didn't know. Like, this is again the reason why this is important is because this is what we've been demanding. This is what we've been waiting for so long, and we were so annoyed about how is it possible for governments around the world to, like, the only country that seemed like to be taking this seriously was Australia, right?
Yes, Australia's been very good about going after the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Catholic Church specifically for their systematic cover-up and protection of predators.
Yeah, so somebody needs to talk to the Guardian and talk to their editors in the way they come up with their goddamn titles. Like, what the hell is this? But anyways.
Yeah, so
well, you're right, Armin, because I got it confused with all the other reports, the internal church document that the Pope, Paul, and Benedict knew, and then the other document from these other, groups. There were all these things about how they knew, but this one specific to England and Wales, and the fact that they violated their duty to care under the law of the country, basically, it is important. And it says in there that they valued their reputation more than the welfare of children, and that's like a definitive statement in the report.
Yeah, I mean, so typically, at least in America, what we've seen the most and what people are most familiar with are like documentaries, exposés, maybe specific lawsuits against specific clergy. But in the UK, this is a systematic investigation of the entire institution. So that's one thing that makes it different and significant. So this report also specifically highlighted the involvement of Pope Francis and Cardinal Vincent Nichols. So Cardinal Vincent Nichols is the leader of the Catholic Church in England and Wales, and Pope Francis specifically asked him to stay in his position, in his post, despite this damning report that concluded that he had completely shirked his responsibility to protect children. It's well documented that he is, to quote an attorney, Cardinal Nichols is a serial protector of P-files. And he is the person that you should expect it. The head of the church should have the greatest morals of all, but instead they are sending P-files to other areas of the country and America in an attempt to cover the abuse up.
The reason when you use code words, tell people why you have to use code words.
I'm using code words because YouTube will demonetize us. They're also responding to calls for Nichols' departure. A church spokesman said that the cardinal would not be resigning following the inquiry's criticisms because he was determined to put it right. In accordance with Vatican rules, Nichols wrote to the Holy See. The Holy See is basically the judicial branch of the Vatican. About 4 weeks ago, in the run-up to his 75th birthday, to offer his resignation. Pope Francis specifically asked him to continue as cardinal, the spokesperson said.
The Holy See is more than the judicial branch, but okay, it's good.
That I was just trying to think of the simplest way to describe one aspect of what it's responsible for.
Right.
Yeah, so a statement issued by Nichols and the Archbishop of Liverpool said that the Catholic Church welcomed the report, which would, quote, inform its improvements in safeguarding all aspects of the church's life. It was like not safeguarding children or safeguarding the church's life.
Do we have any understanding on how they're going to take action, or are we going to have to wait decades for that the next step? Like, is there any okay, great, thank you for finally making it official. What are you going to do about it? Are they going to do anything about it, or is that going to be something that we're going to have to wait years for?
I'm not hopeful.
Okay.
He said that they welcomed the report and they would inform improvements in safeguarding all aspects of church life. So that sounds like a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. I appreciate Australia normalizing taking a more aggressive stance. I think the normalization of it and seeing how people respond might give the green light to some other first world countries to take it seriously, right? If you see, like, for example, if politicians in Australia start like doubling down on their anti-Catholic church stand, and the people in Australia go like, yay, and then the politicians in other countries will see like, the people are going yay in Australia. I wonder how I could use that political capital here where I am, right? So, and people in Australia applaud your politicians when you do this more loudly, so politicians other places could hear that applause, so they could like try to, invest in that political capital as well. But go on, Rivka, you want to say something?
I wanted to say Australia is doing it across the board with people, or attempting to, with people that are in religious positions of trust that have abused children. In particular, this woman named Malka Leifer in a yeshiva in Australia, who escaped in the middle of the night to Israel, and they have been attempting to extradite her for years, and every time it's almost ready to happen, there's another one. But apparently she is ready. She is supposed to be extradited back to stand trial in Australia for these crimes that she committed against these children. So they're serious about this. They're like, not only are they going after people, but they want people extradited.
Rivka, I know I'm being anti-Semitic, but if you could hold the microphone, if you could hold the microphone like this when you're speaking, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I
Sorry.
can't help it. I'm anti-Semitic. It's just my nature. It's my
It's in the
nature.
blood.
It's in the. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be. Okay, so Luke is saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the government do something. The UK have been cracking down hard on safeguarding in general, so hopefully this report will push action. I really hope so. We're going to be covering that here if that happens. Morta is saying we need to make a list of um, appreciation for governments that make the great moves to boost their appreciation and the recognition, like France for secular values and Australia for this. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. We need to report good news. Like we keep like we shouldn't like just be. I mean, we do that, right? So we shouldn't just be like sharing like, oh, look at this government doing this bad thing. Oh, look at this politician doing that bad thing. Okay. We should also be like, oh my God, look at these guys, amazing! Like clap, clap, clap. Even if it's not for the right motivations. Okay, we always tell people like, yeah, oh, politicians are doing this just to get votes, and like, well, then give them the recognition and the votes that they want, so they keep doing it more. I understand that it's not because many times it's not because they care and they're doing it for political clout, and that we'll just give them what they want so they do it more. Okay, so I agree with Mortal Skeptic here 100%.
You know what, Armin? Since you like to clap and we don't always have news, we could have the weekly Atheist Republic news clap for shout out to Nation of the Righteous or whatever.
Right.
Oh my
right.
gosh. Can we call it the halal of the week?
Ooh, we got a
Oh,
super
thank you.
sticker. What is the super sticker? Where can I see it? It's a pair laughing. Thank you so much, Rick, for the 100 rupee super sticker. I love our fans from India. Fatima saying, Armin looking for an excuse to poke at Rivka. Shake my head. We need more emos for Rivka. It's my okay, guys. I'm
Mhm.
from Iran.
Shukran, Fatima.
I'm from
Shukran.
Iran. I'm from Iran, and this is what we do. We see the Jewish people, and we can't help it. We can't help it.
Oh
Okay,
no.
we just go at them. Okay. Rivka is just easy target here for me. Okay.
People aren't gonna know that you're joking.
There's lots of Jewish Iranians, by the way.
No.
Yeah, we have them there as an excuse to be able to be anti-Semitic, and every time we get accused of them, we're like, look at our Jewish people. That's what we do.
Yeah, bring them out on state media.
They're token. They're tokens.
And in Beverly Hills and
Oh
Toronto.
boy. Oh boy. You guys are gonna get us in so much trouble.
All right,
We
cool.
can clap for the next news.
Speaking in code.
Yes.
Do that. This is all code.
I can clap for the next news. Is it we can do that?
Yes.
Okay. Next news.
Next news. Parents plead to uphold Quebec's religious symbol ban on hijab. In Quebec, Canada, several parents recently pleaded with a Quebec Superior Court judge to uphold the province's religious symbols ban to shield their children from exposure to the hijab, which they believe conveys a, quote, pernicious sexist message. The witnesses testifying in support of the law, known as Bill 21, said they believed the hijab always represents sexist values, regardless of why someone decides to wear it. The parents, all immigrants from Muslim-majority countries, are the first witnesses to be called by defenders of the Laicity Act in a court case brought by the opponents of the law who say it is unconstitutional. Among the most controversial provisions in Bill 21 is a prohibition on public teachers from wearing religious symbols at work.
I support this. You guys support this as well? Yep, Rivka is saying me too.
Support their opinion on this or support the bill?
The bill upholding the fact that there needs to be a ban on religious symbols and to spare the children from being influenced by hijab. I totally support this. But Rivka?
I support it if you're going to a public school, if they have parochial schools there that it's specifically a religious school and you're choosing to pay a tuition to have your children go to that religious school to have a religious upbringing, well, then and they're not receiving government money, then to me, they should be able to wear their religious garb because it's specifically a religious school. That seems like that would be, but I'm absolutely fine with public schools for all children receiving government funds for the entirety of the province should be religious free as far as I'm concerned, at least especially for the teachers.
Oh, we just got a super chat. We got 3 Swiss francs from Skeptic46. They're asking, when will your next Q&A live stream be? I don't know, Armin. When do you want to do another one?
I will do one soon. They seem to be popular. I don't know exactly when, but I think we're gonna do one of them every week because they seem to be very popular. Okay, so thank you so much for the super chat.
At least every 2 weeks.
Yes, when you're gonna see on the homepage of our channel exactly when we schedule them. As soon as I schedule them, I'll make sure I'll do it like at least a day or 2 days ahead, so you have enough notice. Okay, but do you have any steelmans against this? Because I keep saying like I support this, and people are like, this is like anti-freedom, anti blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, I mean people are not entitled to have access to children or to jobs that parents have no choice. It's a public school, right?
Here are some of the
go on.
Here's some of the arguments that were presented in court. So, well, first, I before I go into that, I want to give more of the arguments of people who support this ban. So this includes, for example, the wife of Raif Badawi. She was saying, oh my goodness, Ansaf Haider, whose husband is the imprisoned Saudi blogger Raif Badawi, said she is shocked when she sees Quebec women dressed in Muslim religious clothing, given how they were treated in Saudi Arabia. The hijab is not a good image for a Quebec, Haider said, who fled Saudi Arabia not long before her husband's arrest in 2012. An Algerian immigrant and father of 2 told the court that he considered the hijab an affront to his dignity as a man because it supposes men are sexual threats to women. Teachers who wear the hijab, he said, are sending subtle messages to children. He called the hijab a symbol of Islamist proselytizing, adding it is pernicious because of that. Another parent who immigrated to Quebec from Algeria in 2011 said, for me, the hijab is a symbol of inferiority, even if they, meaning Muslim teachers, say they don't feel inferior or superior or equal to men. It is a symbol of inferiority, and I insist on that point. He said that he is worried his daughter will be influenced by a teacher who wears the hijab at his school and decides to take up the practice. Teachers must be neutral because children are impressionable. So in response, people who oppose this bill reject the idea that the hijab is somehow proselytizing. That's one of the ways that they are taking apart this defense of the bill. So earlier on Monday, an anthropologist specializing in religions testified for the plaintiffs about whether the symbols like the hijab do in fact proselytize. The professor said the symbols of major religions aren't typically worn with the aim of converting non-believers. She explained that the religions most associated with proselytism, such as evangelical Christianity, actually shun wearing symbols, which I don't think is necessarily true at all. During the lengthy cross-examination, the professor also said religious symbols aren't always worn out of religious conviction, noting pop culture acts like Madonna have appropriated the cross for non-religious reasons, which is like, what does that have to do with teachers doing this? And then
can we just
they're giving an example.
I'm not sure she understands the coercion of social religiosity.
Yeah,
which is what he's trying to say when he's talking about the proselytizing and the dawah that's happening. Because if this is in a majority population or a large population of people who come from Muslim majority countries or ethnic backgrounds where the majority of people are Muslim and the family is and everybody else is, there is the social coercion, which happens even if you're not wearing it to proselytize. It becomes this, everyone else is wearing it. You see even the teacher is wearing it, etc. So it just seems like that just seems really disingenuous of an anthropologist.
And then they bring up this example of, they're like, well, what about wedding rings? Like, if we're doing a religious symbols ban, what about wedding rings? Is that considered a religious symbol? Like, would that be banned as well? So they're trying to bring in other things to try to pick apart the argument.
Well,
and then they said, oh, it depends on the context, given they are exchanged in both religious and civil ceremonies. Sometimes
all
it
right,
is,
but
sometimes it isn't.
that's nonsense. Okay, they just trying, because this law has been very consistent against all religious symbols, and they don't
Yeah.
have much to go against it. They're just desperate in trying to make it seem like it's not consistent, even though it's consistent against Christianity and Judaism and Sikhism and other religions as well. Hussein, for example, saying, I don't like governments picking on religious items. If they said religious garbs of nuns or Sikhs were bad or would not be accepted. I mean, no, you're wrong, Hussein. They are consistently against all religious symbols in government institutions. Okay, they're not saying it's bad or good. They're just saying it has no place in government institutions. That's what they're saying, and government funded education facilities. So they're being very consistent with this. So I don't know what people. I've actually, for me, a lot of people think that this is anti-Muslim, blah blah blah, far right stuff. To me, this shows the exact opposite. To me, this shows Islamic privilege over other religions, right? Because there is not that much of a backlash over coming and defending Christians and having crosses in religious in government institutions. There is not that much of a backlash against Sikhs being able to wear the turbans. It's the Muslims that everyone wants to defend, right? To me, this is not a symbol, not an example of anti-Islamic bias. To me, this is actually a very clear example of pro-Islamic privilege. That they are the ones that are being considered to be discriminated against, even though we have secularism for everybody, right? And again, people don't understand that tolerating people's religious freedom does not require them having access to practice the religions everywhere at all times, even in government institutions, just marketing their religion and their religious symbols. And people just have to bend the knee to that and accept their religious domination over our lives at all places. Just give it. You could practice your religion privately whenever you want. Just because we're not bending the knee over your dominance in every goddamn place, that doesn't mean that you're being oppressed. That means your religious privileges are being taken away. Susanna.
So to clarify, if people are not familiar, I have some of the language from the bill. It is an act, quote, representing the laicity of the state. The bill, the law bans public workers in positions of, quote, authority from wearing religious symbols specifically while they are on duty. According to the text of the bill, the laicity of the state is defined by a neutral religious stance, keeping state and religious affairs apart, as well as promoting equality and freedom of conscience and religion among citizens. The immigration minister, Simon Jolin Barrett, said all religious symbols, regardless of the size of the object, would be prohibited, but not religious tattoos or hairstyles, for example, like dreadlocks. The law affects any public employee who carries a weapon, including police officers, courthouse constables, bodyguards, prison guards, and wildlife officers, crown prosecutors, government lawyers and judges, school principals, vice principals, and teachers. A grandfather clause exempts some public workers as long as they continue to hold the same job at the same institution.
Right. And my understanding is that these are also people who are representing the government in front of an audience. Like, for example, a government employee who is just an accountant behind in an office, they're not going to ask her to remove her hijab, right? But if you're, for example, a government employee who is an officer of the law representing the government, then they're like, yeah, you're representing the government. You cannot be representing this religious ideology. You cannot be marketing these ideas while you are representing the government. So that seems very consistent. And AG, and I'm definitely for it. It's just saying yes, they are consistent across all religions, but all the religion, but of all religions. Wait, Rivka, wait. I'm not finished. But of all religions, only Indians and Arabs are really affected. You mean Indian? I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, let's say they are. That means they just spread in more places, right? That means that their religion they are using. I mean, I don't know if by Indians and Arabs, if you mean Hindus and Muslims, because if that's what you mean, then the fact that they have spread their religious dominance across more places, then they should also be affected more by it. But anyways, Rivka, you want to say? We did get another super chat, by the way, by Skeptic46 saying, "When will you? Where is this? You should really look into Streamlabs. I will look into it." Okay, Rivka, sorry, go on.
Okay. So Sikhs probably is what he's referring to, rather than because the turban thing, and not all
Right.
Muslims are Arabs. So that, if that's where you're going with that, even though I love you, AJ, so that would be probably talking about Muslims, but that's not necessarily the case, because some religious Jews wear kippas and things like yarmulkes and things like that. So that would be out. There's other things that different religious groups wear, but yeah, that maybe that's who the majority of that population is. But I wanted to point out that you were saying that representing the government and the laïcité separate has a sort of neutral stance, as in no religion. That's sort of what's going on here. And this is what these groups who are defending this are saying, is that it upholds the rights of the parents, of all parents of the country, to have their children have a secular education, or anyone who's dealing with an officer of the court or someone who is a representative of the government, to have that interaction be neutral of any kind of religious, as you were saying, sort of logo or advertisement, or feeling uncomfortable that might be pushed on you, or that somehow changes a person's relationship to you, all of those things. And it's not stopping anybody from wearing the hijab in the grocery store, or on the playground when they take their kids, or in their own home, or if they work in a shop, they could wear it. They're talking about specifically government. So I think it's important, and it also it protects them. Secular governments protect religious people as well, so that no religion is elevated above any other one, and then you have persecution.
I do want to highlight some of the comments really quickly. Let's see, look at this. Wayne is saying brainwashing and indoctrination is child abuse. That's what's going on here. The freedom of choice is taken away by parents before they knew they had a choice of their own. The parents in their families need to be held accountable. I think that's what they mean, for taking the freedom away and installing their sky daddy into the minds of children. Horrendous.
This person doesn't know what the article's about.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
no, that's not. Yeah, but I mean, it's still correct though. Like, you're protecting children in religious institutions from being brainwashed by, I don't know, religious symbolism. So I guess
they seem to be talking about parents forcing their children to wear hijab.
Yeah.
This is about the state not allowing women to wear hijabs as public school teachers.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Jason is saying, wish they had that very same ban here in Ontario. Keep all religious garments, jewelry, and imagery out of schools, government buildings, or anywhere influential. I mean, a lot of these people, by the way, a lot of the religious people, especially, Christians in the United States or Muslims in France or Quebec, they will get the point of this like this if it was satanic symbols.
Hell yeah.
Right, like if they were sending their kids to public schools and the teacher had like satanic symbolism or was like exposing the children to stuff like that, they would be like, laicite all the way, please. Laicite here, laicite now, laicite always. Okay? Forever. Like I'm pretty sure they would understand what's the point of these laws if that was like, yeah.
I'm gonna show
That actually happened in Florida, Armin. So there was a school in Florida that had allowed some Christian groups to give out Bibles and things during lunch and after school, and little pamphlets, and Jesus loves you and some things like that. So the Church of Satan said, well, we get to give it out. We get to have a after school club too. If you're letting them, you have to let us. And so the court said, okay. So they showed up with their little coloring book for Satan and some other, Church of Satan materials. This was a primary school for children, and we're passing them out, and they had a little club. And within a month or two, the school outlawed all religious. The school's like, nope, that's it. We're not doing any of it. They got rid of, because the parents lost their minds, which was the whole point of the action, saying, look, you thought it was okay when it was your religion, but now that you have to let our religion in that you don't like, you're upset. And the school solved the problem by getting rid of all of it, which is exactly what the laicite or the secular nature of these things does. It solves the problem and just levels it to nothing. So nobody's religion is on display or privileged.
So I'm going to show up as a public school teacher with coffer on my forehead.
Yeah, I just think that Muslims need to understand that as much as they love their religion, and also Sikhs, we view their religion much worse than they view Satanism, right? And as much as they disagree with us on that, if they're justified to be worried about their kids or their government having satanic symbols all over it, right? If they're justified in thinking that, then we're also justified in being worried about your Islamic or Sikh or Christian symbolism all over our government institutions and our schools, right? That's how we feel. If you disagree with our feelings, if you disagree with our views on your religion, well, just go cry about it in your own private. Nobody's going to stop you from complaining. Nobody should be able to stop you from complaining. You can complain about it, but not with our tax dollars, right? AJ is saying, I just worry about how this can be abused, and those employees in these positions that are now given an ultimatum, their faith or their job. Well, I mean, they're not entitled to government. People are not entitled to the government jobs, right? It could be like, it's the same thing as you're like, hey, I'm like, can I wear, like, okay, so for example, if the government says like if you're a tax collector, right? They say you cannot say, I don't know, MAGA or BLM, okay? You cannot be a tax collector while have BLM.
Hate the rich button. How about that?
Yeah. If somebody says that, okay. If you have that, all right, you guys not letting me finish my point. Let's move on to the next news. All right.
Your point stands. You can't wear a bikini to court when you're a lawyer. There's like rules. There's some things, and you can't say, well, I'm sorry, then, this is my faith to wear the bikini. Well, too bad. Then you pick a different job.
Right. You're not entitled to your job. Can I clap for this next news? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Next news.
The United Arab Emirates reforms Islamic laws and broadens personal freedoms. In Dubai, specifically, of the UAE. Recently, the United Arab Emirates, or the UAE, announced a significant overhaul of the nation's Islamic personal laws. The reforms now allow unmarried couples to cohabitate, loosen alcohol restrictions, and criminalize so-called honor killings. The expansion of personal freedoms reflects the changing profile of a country that has sought to market itself as a westernized destination for tourists despite its Islamic legal code. The changes include scrapping penalties for alcohol consumption, sales, and possession for those 21 and over. Attempted suicide will also be decriminalized. To better, quote, protect women's rights, the government said it would get rid of laws defending so-called honor crimes. The punishment for a crime committed with the intention of avenging a family's honor for women's promiscuity or disobeying religious and cultural customs will now be the same for any other kind of assault. The move follows a historic U.S. brokered deal to normalize relations between the UAE and Israel.
That's amazing. I think it's a combination of these deals, by the way, which is one of the few things I give Trump credit for. Okay. Let's not deny that. That was impressive. As much as I'm against him in most of his policies, that was impressive. But it's also because they're running out of money, right? And tourism is becoming more and more significant to them. It's okay. We can still celebrate it. Again, I always say, even if it's the motivations are because they're trying to make more money, they're trying to become less welcoming to investors and tourists and everyone else. People are like, oh, well, this is just because of that. Who cares? It's a move in the right direction. I celebrate it. I mean, I remember do you guys remember this Australian woman who was in Dubai and she was RAPE'd, and she went and reported it, and she went to jail because she couldn't produce 4 witnesses while admitting to adultery. And okay, so you can't produce 4 witnesses as is required per Islamic law, plus you admitted to adultery, so you go to jail. That's how crazy that was. And also, there's a lot of couples that get in trouble just because they're they're not foreigners who are not married, and they having sex while they're on vacation in Dubai, get into trouble. What the hell is up with that? Join the civilized world, Dubai. Dubai's images looks like they're from the future, and their laws look like they're from the dark
the 7th
ages.
century.
Right.
Well, specific to what you were talking about foreigners and violations of Sharia law, this is actually one of the amendments says that it'll allow foreigners, if something like that should happen or there's some issue, they get to avoid Sharia courts for marriage, divorce, inheritance. So hopefully it would also be for that. But they did leave out, they didn't say anything about things that have landed foreigners in the jail in the past, like, for example, homosexuality or public displays of affection. So it's not completely overarching in terms of 21st century, but they're baby stepping it there. So congratulations, Mazel Tov, Dubai.
Yes, I mean, they still have extremely harsh apostasy laws, which I'm always going to call them out for. Part of this has to do with so in a country where expatriates outnumber citizens nearly 9-1, the amendments will permit foreigners to avoid Islamic Sharia courts on issues like marriage, divorce, and inheritance. Yes, exactly to Rivka's point, the announcement said nothing of other behavior deemed insulting to local customs that has landed foreigners in jail in the past, acts such as homosexuality, cross-dressing, and public displays of affection. So a lot of this has to do, this article explicitly mentioned that the tourism that will be incoming from Israel soon. So a lot of this is, actually maybe not a lot, but this is likely being done to help promote tourism from Israel. What's interesting is this new rule regarding alcohol. The new rule would allow Muslims who have been barred from obtaining licenses to drink alcohol beverages freely. So previously you would have to obtain a license to get alcohol. Muslims were barred from receiving such license. That is now removed.
Well, I think that, those kind of things actually are really important when you're talking about trying to do business, not just with Israelis, but any other countries, because a lot of that has to do with the schmoozing, and you're bringing people over. And if people come from countries where they want to be able to drink, they're bringing their girlfriends, they're doing all these things, and business a lot of times makes peace, and how you can do that, it really does. And so it does make sense if you can, entertain your guests in a way that they're comfortable with, and thus willing to do business with you and have businesses in your country. And I think you're right that there is some of that going on.
Yeah.
And just realizing that, if they're doing these other things, they need to do some of these relaxation of rules in order to get the populace on board, and all the other things that are going on, running out of money, it's going to be a problem. You got to kind of throw some coins to the peasants, so to speak. But there still have political parties, and labor unions are still illegal.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, I mean, this article noted how previously in Dubai, like it was easy. Officials were more likely to look the other way given the prominence of tourism in Dubai and the financial stakes in Dubai. But it was still really risky. And that was always looming over people's heads. Shoot, I just lost my train of thought. But we got a super chat from AGA.
Yep. Before we do the super chat, because it's not relevant to the news that we're doing, I just want to add my last comment. But I just want to say that this is not just... I know this is not enough. I know it's still like they're so far behind. I do want to say that the reaction to this, both from the population and monetarily, is going to help normalize other places going forward with this as well, right? So these are like the stuff that is happening with UAE and other countries. They're just like playing around with this. And again, UAE and other countries, they're still doing a lot of other shady stuff, and we're going to keep calling them out for that. But if this stuff works, if it does actually bring them the money that they want, and if the people there, if the backlash against them is not as strong as they anticipated, other Islamic countries are going to take notice, right? And they're going to start like playing with this as well to slowly, change, because money is powerful. Anyway, so yeah, you wanted to highlight AGA?
Well, I actually wanted to say something else. I think I saw someone in the chat saying something about honor killings being illegal. It's not even necessarily that honor killings specifically are now illegal. It is just that they are no longer getting a lighter sentence, lighter punishment than any other kind of assault. So they're now being treated at the same level as any other crime of physical assault, murder, etc.
And by the way, these are just for like the locals are still... we care about the locals as well, right? So, and they are still getting a lot of harsh punishments and stuff like that. So
yeah, but these laws are not exclusive to foreigners.
No, but I'm saying is that a lot of places they're easing these laws on foreigners, but the locals are still living under the dark ages. Anyway, so you wanted to highlight the super chat?
Yes. So AGA gave us 10 Australian dollars. Thank you, AGA. Saying, I see your point regarding Bill 21. I needed to argue the devil's advocate position. Also, I didn't mean to generalize Arabs and Indians. There are a wide range of religious garbs and only 200 characters. Yes, I understand. Thank you, AGA.
Of course, we love you. We know you're not.
Yeah, but we also use
monolithing anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though we know that's not what you mean, we usually use that opportunity to discuss that kind of issue anyways, to demonstrate to other people.
Yes. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Yeah.
All right, next news.
Okay, next news. Iranian Paralympic bodybuilder could face execution for criticizing COVID rules. In Iran, Iran's Paralympics world champion Reza Tabrizi has been arrested and could face the death penalty after he questioned why gyms had been closed due to the coronavirus pandemic, while religious shrines were allowed to remain open. Tabrizi was a bodybuilding super medalist in the 2011 New Zealand Paralympics. He had claimed that it was, quote, hypocritical to close down sports facilities in Mashhad's holy city, but still allow pilgrims to the Imam Reza shrine. Religious hardliners burst into Mr. Tabrizi's gym and arrested him within hours of his Instagram post, accusing him of insulting religious believers and being a, quote, stooge of French President Emmanuel Macron. Quote, this guy has posted a threatening insult on his Instagram account and thought that in the country ruled by our religious beliefs, he could do any damn thing that he wants. Thanks be to God, he is now behind bars, wrote Iranian cleric Morteza Mustafazadeh. Shoot. On
Mustafazadeh. You should ask the person.
Yeah. Yes, on Instagram. Mr. Tabrizi has since issued an apology for his statement. And we actually have a video of these Shia extremists attacking his gym. Do we want to play that now or in a second?
Wait, you didn't send it to me, but I found it anyways. I just want to push up.
I included it in the text.
Oh, you did? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I just want to, by the way, I just want to mention to people. Oh, you did. You're right. That, some people are going to get butthurt over this, but this is why sometimes we have to resort to the Daily Mail. Okay, look at this. Okay, so this is the article from the Telegraph, right? And this is the article from the Daily Mail, right? I understand how the Telegraph is a lot more credible, but look at the cover. Look at the way that they are more credible. They have better sources. They do fact check. But when it comes to actually presentation, I have to go with the Daily Mail because look at them. Look at the image. They actually have the image of the guy here. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? They're actually showing the image of the person. They have the video embedded. They have more images that you could, and they summarize the news in bullet points. So guys, we go to verify the story, we go to other places, but to actually present the story, we go to Daily Mail. That doesn't mean that we think the Daily Mail is a good source of information. So don't get butthurt over this. We just use them because they just have much better presentation techniques than anywhere else. Look at all the imagery and all the embedding and everything. It makes everything easier. Look, and I like the fact that they put everything in bullet points right at the beginning. Okay? So verify something somewhere else and then summarize using the Daily Mail. Don't get butthurt over this, okay? So I could just play the video here. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, here.
This video, I was like, no offense. I was like, is this Bangladesh? What the hell?
Wait, is there audio? I'm just going to do the tweet then.
There's audio in the tweet, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we mute ourselves?
I don't know.
I'm going to do it.
Okay, so before I play this, what are we're looking at the butthurt people going out and trying to close down the gym, right? That's correct? Because
they're
these
Shia extremist hardliners.
They're not extreme. These are average Shia. This is mainstream Shiism. Yeah, I mean, okay, so it doesn't represent most Iranians, but again, it's not as far as saying these are extremists. Okay, so they're not as fringe as they're 10. Okay, so in a population of 80 million people in Iran, there's at least 10 million of them that think this is good. Go shut this place down. This guy offended our religious. Yeah, but go on.
I'm sorry. I think anyone that's going and destroying a business because of something that someone who happens to frequent the business said on Instagram, who go out of their way to go destroy that property, I'm going to call them an extremist.
Yeah, but they're not fringe. They're not fringe.
Fair enough. Extremists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you going to translate, Armin?
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Are you going to translate?
Oh, this video?
Yeah, I heard some people saying some stuff in Farsi.
Well, I'm hearing just background mumbling. I see if I could pick anything up, then I'll translate.
Mute myself.
Okay. I'll see if there's anything worth translating. Well, I could tell you that the cover video, the text says "بازداشت یک ورزشکار در مشهد" means the arrest of athlete in Mashhad, which is a city in Iran, for the accusation of insulting the sacred. So basically, this is not the police, but when they say like arresting, this is kind of like misinformation. Oh, actually, this is a police car here. So that's a police car showing up, but it's not just the police showing up. The mob is showing up and like demanding justice as well because they're butthurt over this. And by the way, this guy was famous in the city. Like this guy was such a pro, health, pro and exercise promoting. Like in this city, like people knew him as a famous person that was promoting like exercising, going to the gym and all. So that was kind of like nice, but now he's like screwed because of just a comment like, hey guys, you guys closing the gyms, but you're not closing religious places. Why you're not like just a simple thing as like that. Imagine that, right? You know how a lot of people in the United States are complaining, why are you closing down churches, but not this or not that, okay? And people get highlighted, they get covered in the news, but nobody goes and, actually it's the other way around. But people complaining about these things. Imagine living in a country that if you just came back and say like, guys, close down the churches, goddammit, we're spreading corona, right? Like what? It's unfair. The laws are being in the US, and it's the opposite, right? People are complaining why you're closing down the churches, but not other places. Here, they're closing everywhere else, but the religious institutions are remaining open. And this guy, like, you guys close down my gym, but more people are gathering over here, and because of religious reasons, you're not shutting it down. And he's like, okay, a death sentence for you. But let's watch this. Wait, so I don't know what they're saying. They're just chanting religious stuff. They're like, hold on. They're saying Ya Hussein, so that's that. Alright, okay, so now they're taking down the post, his gym's like I don't know, the name of the gym or something. They're taking it down. They're singing Ya Ali, which is the first Imam of Shia.
Ex-Muslims in the chat. Oh no, the PTSD.
Right. No, yeah, so they were saying Ya Hussein, and now they're so happy. They're like, yay, Ali, Ya Ali, like dear Ali. Ali is the main Imam for Shia Muslims. Ya Ali! Ya Ali. Look how happy they are. They think like, look at them feeling like heroes. Like they're like getting justice for their religious symbols. Like this poor guy just said one comment, and these people think that they're on the right side. They're celebrating victory over this guy's commentary because they're coming out. They arrested him, and now they're taking his gym down, and they're like singing and celebrating the fact that they fought against this injustice.
Hasn't Allah already done enough? The guy's paralyzed, right? Like they got to go the extra mile.
They're not talking about Allah. They're talking about Ali. Shias don't care about.
My point is, my joke is that he's insulting God or whatever. Well, looks like God already took care of this guy. He's paralyzed. Like they got to work even harder.
Shias pretend to care about Allah. Shias don't give a crap about Allah.
They only care about Ali.
Hussein and Ali and Fatima. They pretend
and Karbala.
Shias nothing but shirk.
Shias pretend to care about Muhammad and Allah. They don't give a crap about Muhammad and Allah. Everything is about Ali, Hussein, and Fatima. But let's continue.
Allahu Akbar!
Look at it. There we go. Good job, guys. You showed him. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so to highlight like how severe this is. So that quote that I have of the Iranian cleric is not just any Iranian cleric. Mr. Mustafa Zadeh is the head of the Basij militia in Iran, and he has called for this man to face the death penalty. Although it is important to notice that he has not been sentenced,
No.
but there are someone as prominent as this cleric calling for his execution over his comment. So to highlight, the Iranian officials have insisted on keeping the shrines open to the public, even as the country saw a record 458 deaths in a single day last week, and the rate of daily infections increased by 10,000. And also, Iran is definitely not being transparent and honest about what their COVID numbers are. I would like to read his apology, though.
Oh, I was going to say,
so
it's
Mr.
not good
Tabrizi
enough for
has
him that he
issued.
apologized.
Yeah, he has issued a statement since his arrest where he apologizes for offending religious sensitivities. Quote, "I apologize to all my friends and fans and hereby state that the love of our religious saints runs in the blood of my family, and if as a result of a moment of negligence I have hurt your feelings, I do sincerely apologize and ask for your forgiveness." Yes, so obviously he's trying to save his skin, and I don't blame him. Any further commentary?
Daniel saying, I don't understand this guy comment, but then it's stupid. Wasn't he just moaning about not being allowed to open his shop when bigger crowds are allowed elsewhere? Elsewhere being mosque causes butthurt, I guess. Yes, yeah, that was what he was complaining about. But he was talking about religious places. That's why that caused a lot of butthurt. Oh, they were saying Labbaik Ya Hussein. Oh, okay. Which means they're responding to Hussein's call. They're basically like yes to Hussein. Like, you Hussein, you called upon us to tear this guy's gym apart, and we said yes to you. Yes to you.
He
yes
has
to Hussein.
taken up the call to action.
Call to action, exactly. Okay. By the way, Susanna, your audio is not well today either. There's a buzzing noise.
It's happening again?
Yes. Again, we're never gonna be able to get good audio on this show, are we? Hussein saying, isn't Ali like super buff in Shia mythology? He would have loved the gym. I mean, they pretend we have no idea how Ali was. They just add that. Modern Iranians say that he was strong enough to take out the giant door with his bare hands, but there's no evidence for any of those stories. But yes, Hussein. Oh, Hussein, you should know. You're his son. Thank you so much, Hussein Rahman, for the $5 super chat. Yeah, we grew up with stories of Ali being extremely strong, but I remember also having stories with Ali being not very strong and still managing to defeat some. We have contradictory stories about Ali's strength, so I don't know. By the way, look at our live chat. We have Hussein which is like a very important Shia figure in live chat, and we also have Fatima, which is very important. So Hussein and Fatima, these are names that Shias care about more than Muhammad and Allah. Okay, so Hussein and Fatima. Fatima is basically Hussein's mother. All right, should we go? Can I clap for the next news?
It's not good, but we can still clap for it, I guess.
Online threats? No, no, it's online threats. I'm not gonna clap. Next news.
Was that okay?
Wait. Fatima is saying, curse my name. No, it's a beautiful name. Don't do that. Aw, Fatima. All right, next news.
Dutch teacher forced into hiding over blasphemous Islamic cartoon. It's in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Police in the Netherlands are investigating threats made against a teacher who had hung a cartoon commenting on the 2015 Charlie Hebdo attack in his classroom. The drawing had hung in the classroom for some 5 years, but it was not until the school had held a memorial for murdered French teacher Samuel Paty that it became a contentious issue. Recently, a group of girls demanded that the teacher remove the picture from the board because they said it was blasphemous. The teacher explained that the cartoon was not of Muhammad, but of just general jihadi. The Dutch newspaper NRC reports that more teachers at the school, Imas College, or Emmaus College, fear for their safety. And according to their sources, the teacher in question has gone into hiding. So I wanted to highlight this news because I would want more people to be aware of how the threats and the risks that teachers undertake seems especially bad across Europe, just teaching Enlightenment values. So to give further context, this teacher had a display in his classroom that was supposed to be kind of a conversation starter, right? And so as there was other stuff on the board, but part of this board was this cartoon, and the cartoon showed a man dressed in black robes with a black kind of turban-y thing, or it looked more like the wrap that Shias wear, and he's carrying like basically a large sword or meat cleaver that's all bloody, and he looks shocked, and he's bearded because he looks shocked because there is a person wearing a shirt that says Charlie Hebdo on it, their head is gone, and they have their neck hole open, pulling the neck hole open with the tongue sticking out, as if being like, Nana, like, you might have beheaded me, but I'm sticking my tongue out at you, you know?
I know which one you're talking about.
And and below the cartoon, in the word, there was a single word below it, and the word translates to immortal, meaning like, you know, you can come after me, but the jihadi is shocked because even though you've beheaded me, I'm sticking my tongue out at you. Like, you're not going to keep me in fear. You're not going to draw red lines about my expression. I'm going to even beheaded, I am still mocking you, right? And so these
you can't kill free expression is
yes, free expression is
apparently
immoral.
you can, because this teacher had to go in hiding in Netherlands.
That's what the cartoon is trying to say.
Yeah, I know. I'm not
responding.
responding. I'm not questioning you. I'm not questioning you, Rivka, but I'm just frustrated of how much dominance these people have over
it's worse than
life.
that.
Yep.
I mean, they've got 100,000 people have signed a petition set up by this imam who is making calls for insulting Muhammad to be a criminal offense. And this was launched after another imam in Amsterdam told a newspaper that he thought that there had to be laws limiting the freedom to insult Islam. And he said, insults against Islam have created very negative dynamics and a poisonous atmosphere in society, with all the risk that entails. He said, we have to leave this behind, and we will get nowhere if we continue to point to free speech and being able to say what you like. It is as if there is a competition to insult Islam as much as possible. So he's made two threats in there, as far as I'm concerned. The risk that entails, and we'll get nowhere. And being able, so basically, what you need to accept these beheadings or these, jihadist attacks, or submit to blasphemy laws, and you're not allowed to insult. That's basically what he's saying.
Yes. So, again, this is in the Netherlands, you guys. Like, it's absolutely wild. Like, through just members of this teacher's own community, they have to go into hiding. So police told the NRC, again, that's the Dutch newspaper, that direct threats were made against the teacher and they were taking them very seriously. Quote, we are in close contact with the school and taking visible and hidden security measures, according to a statement on Twitter. MPs and ministers were united in their outrage, with Education Minister Ari Slob saying it is, quote, completely unacceptable that teachers are put under pressure because they teach about the value of freedom of speech. The intimidation of teachers will not be tolerated in any way whatsoever, Slob said. We are taking tough action against it. And then, the article goes on to highlight the petition set up by a local imam calling to make insulting Muhammad a criminal offense. It's this attack on freedom of speech and Enlightenment values goes far beyond France, and the people far beyond French citizens are also paying the price for teaching about the foundational value of liberal society, and it's completely unacceptable. And it's not even Muhammad. It's not even Muhammad. And just
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
if it's Muhammad. No, but this whole it's not even Muhammad. It doesn't really matter if it's Muhammad or not. Okay, these people are. But no, okay. Can I at some point be able to get something to say as well?
Go ahead.
These idiots are giving, like, they're negotiating with people who are intimidating us, and I'm not talking about the people who are actually doing the beheading. Like, we're focusing, like, a lot of people like, oh, these like the actual people that are using violence, they are a fringe group, but that is not the main people that we need to worry about, because everybody can get on the bandwagon of, oh yeah, violence is bad. Everybody is going to be on the right side of this except some fringe groups, okay? But the reaction to all of this, after we have, like, people being killed, more people seem to be more worried about who we're offending, who's upset about cartoons, more than actually protecting civilians from harm, okay, and protecting Enlightenment values and people's freedom of expression. And it seems like even the people, 1 second please, it seems like even the people that are on the side of freedom of expression, they're having a conversation. They seem to be negotiating with the people who are wanting to intimidate us, right? Fuck all you all. Like, we need to, there is no we had this conversation about these values 200 years ago. And we already showed that these ideas work 500 years ago, right? But we have already proven beyond reasonable doubt that these are ideas that work, okay? And you could have this you're free to have this conversation about these, okay? But we don't give in. You could complain. Nobody's going to stop you from complaining, but we don't negotiate with like people who try to intimidate us. We don't. This is not a conversation from our part anymore. You could keep complaining about it, but to give in to that for people, like, go get fucked. Like, we need, like, the people are like, oh, let's have, like, oh yeah, cartoons are okay, like, no, I'm web, but people are upset. We need to double down on this. Like, there needs to be, like, people shouldn't be going in hiding. People shouldn't be like, oh yes, this is sad that this teacher had to go and hide. No, every fucking teacher in the school need to be hanging out their own cartoons up. Like, why is this even a discussion right now? How is this, like, how are people letting Islam dominate their lives in non-Islamic countries? Like, we're supposed to be freeing non-Islamic countries from religious dominance, and now we're looking at free countries, and in free countries, people are being intimidated by the backlash they could get from expressing their views. And there's not enough people coming out and like, no, you don't get to do this shit. There's not enough people coming in and be like, oh, you think you could intimidate us? Well, here's 1,000 times more. You know who's doing that, by the way? We're doing that, okay? We are doing that without the platforms that these motherfuckers have. We're doubling down, and they're taking down our accounts left and right. We're losing. We'll update you on that, but right? But this is, why are they not doing that? These are like the countries that are supposed to be leading the way when it comes to protecting freedom of expression and Enlightenment values, and they're cowering in. And they're going back, and they're like, well, can we have a conversation? Fuck the conversation. Here's the fucking cartoons. Is this what you didn't want? Here's 1,000 more of the same things that you like. Why are we losing? This is such an easy battle to win. And why are we losing it? All you have to do is draw more cartoons. All you have to do is draw more cartoons and express exactly the things that they're telling you not to express. That's how easily we could win this. We have to tell them that if you try to scare us out of saying things, it has to backfire on them. We have to show them, like, hey, the people that are doing the beheadings, those are not the only terrorists that we don't negotiate with. There are other forms of terrorizing that we also don't negotiate with. And those other forms, there are more of them. All right? And we don't negotiate with you either, for the same goddamn reasons. For the same reason we don't negotiate with terrorists, we don't negotiate with you for the exact same reasons. Because if we do, you're being taken seriously. Like, these are the people. Again, I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to complain. They could complain. I'm not going to sit on a table and have a conversation with them, because that's taking their butthurt too seriously. If I said with them and like, hey, let me tell you, oh, no, please, let us draw cartoons, that is taking these motherfuckers too seriously. They're like, no, here's a fucking cartoon. I'm going to hang it. There's nothing you can do about it, motherfucker. That's how the conversation you have with these people. Anyways, I'm going to stop.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, you don't argue and get with this, because they're just going to drag you into the gutter with them, and they have more experience and they're going to be more of a victim. And then you are sucked into the argument about, well, can we at least have a cartoon that's not Muhammad? And, and no, because then they are controlling the narrative. They are framing the debate. There is no debate. You don't like it, then don't look at it. End of story.
I do want to mention that, like, no, I don't agree with David. I see the right wing rising eventually, and I will stand right there with them if it's necessary. I do not want that. I do not want that, because they're also against Enlightenment values. Part of our failure is letting these some of these right wing groups, and again, not all of them, but some of them, take this conversation away from us, because we have failed so much at standing up against the bullshit of Islam, that they steal that away from us. We're not going to let them have it, because they come with their own fucking poison, right? We're not going to let them spread their poison in the name of defending us from Islam. We need to do a better job in defending ourselves from Islam, so that they can't steal this conversation away from us. And if they do, we have to stand guard against them as well. Anyways.
I absolutely agree. I think you're right. I think there's been a void about people standing up for all of this, not just Islam, but all of this religious privilege, this lack of being supportive of free expression, Enlightenment values, all these things. And that void ends up getting filled with fascists.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So, Susanna, do you want to add anything before we go to the next news?
No.
All right.
Besides, you guys just both gave excellent commentary.
All right. So no clapping for the next news.
No.
All right. Next news.
Okay. Indian lesbians living together forcibly separated and one publicly assaulted in Uttar Pradesh, India. Recently, two same-sex partners living together were allegedly separated and subjected to harassment in the Bagpat area of Uttar Pradesh. The family of one of the women burst into the home the couple was sharing and forcibly took her away. The two adult lesbians were harassed, and one was physically assaulted in the village as she resisted the intrusion. The incident, which demonstrates the intolerance of society towards homosexuality, was filmed and circulated on social media. The woman stated, quote, "We had also given a written complaint to the police to provide us with protection. But before they could, my partner's relatives came here and thrashed me publicly and even tore my clothes. They took her away."
So for people who don't know, Uttar Pradesh, or UP, is one of the most or the most religious province in India.
I can safely say it is one of the most.
Yeah, but I think it's the most.
All the craziest religious news definitely comes out of UP. So it certainly seems like the most.
Yeah,
as an outsider.
It's run by religious people, but again, it says a lot about religion then the more religious a province gets, and the more religious the people who run it get. I think for India you should say state. Yeah, the more religious a state gets, and the more religious the people who running it there get. This is what you expect, right? So, for example, if you look at like people like Hinduism is not a religion. It's not as bad as Abrahamic religions. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. It's not a religion. First of all, that's such a moronic point. Like, such a dumb point. Like, yeah, it's not a religion. It's a way of life.
Then what is
As opposed to other religions who are a way of not what? Like, yeah, every religion is a way of life. You've goddamn morons, right?
Every religion dictates how you should dress, who you should associate with, the rules in which you are supposed to live your life,
Right.
In-group and out-group behavior, ritual, language. Come on.
Right. No, but again, if you just look at, you don't even have to go further in India. If you just look at India, okay, look at the states that are less religious, Hinduism, right? More, add Hinduism more to your governance, add Hinduism, more religious, religious Hindus to your population. Compare those states to the states that are less religious. Okay, and look at the behavior of people. Look at how homophobic they are. Look at how anti-secularism they are. Look at how anti-women rights they are. Look at how anti-free speech they are compared to the other states in India where they're less religious. Okay, I mean, if you control for all other factors and just focus on religion, you add more religion, you get more problems. Okay, you add more religion, you betray Enlightenment values more. That's all you need to know about Hinduism and the impact it has on people's lives. More religious, more homophobic, more transphobic. Actually, transphobic, no. To be fair to India, that's less, right? More anti-women rights, more anti-secularism, more anti-science, right? More anti-humanism, more anti-freedom of expression. So, actually, transphobia is also growing in India, Katie.
Yeah, definitely. I was like,
Yeah. Katie is saying this is not a rare occurrence. Even last month, the cops took away an adult woman from her partner because her parents wanted her to be brought back. That case happened in Kerala, which is a less Hindu state. It's part of Indian culture now. People can't escape from their parents because even authorities. Okay, Katie, you're completely missing my point. Yes, it happens everywhere, but the trends are definitely in favor of Uttar Pradesh. Like, if you look at every single map and discrimination, if you look at women's rights, if you look at trans rights, gay rights, the butthurt industry, like, way to miss the point, Katie. This is amazing.
I think Katie's just giving more examples of similar incidences. But I wanted to highlight this news because I have a lot of friends who are specifically in the LGBT community living in India.
Yeah, but I didn't finish my point, though. I was trying to say, like, if you actually look at the numbers, it's very, very heavily correlated and caused, not just correlated, but caused by, religious governance and religious. The higher the religious belief, the more examples like this you're going to be able to find. But yeah, go on.
What was I saying?
Trying to correct yourself, but Katie, I know you agree with me. That's why I was so the way you phrased it was so poorly written. So yeah, no, I was just adding this occurrence in India. I agree with your point on religiosity. I know, but if you look at the way you mentioned it, it makes it seem like you're completely dismissing the point. But go on, Susanna.
So what I was saying was that a lot of my friends living in India talk to me about like their total restriction on personal freedoms. So like even as adults, they do not have the liberty to just live their life as they want, because either the police will take them back to their families, even though they are legal adults, as if they are property or owned by their families, or their families will just come and do it themselves. Particularly the LGBTQ community. And it's really heartbreaking. I can't imagine what this couple's gone through. And the woman who was basically kidnapped by her family, based on the reports that I've read, seems to have be just kept in confinement by her family. You're muted.
Do we want to go to the next news?
Sure.
All right. Next. Wait, can we clap? No, right? Next news.
Okay, next news. Attack on French consulate ceremony in Saudi Arabia leaves at least 3 wounded. In Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, an explosion in a non-Muslim cemetery in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, wounded at least 3 on November 11th in an attack on a ceremony organized by the French consulate to commemorate the end of World War I. An improvised explosive device, or IED, struck the ceremony. Those in attendance included representatives from France, Greece, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the United States. It was not immediately clear how many people the explosion injured, and the authorities have not yet released information on on possible motives or suspects. The attack comes in light of heightened tensions between France and numerous Muslim countries after President Macron defended the satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo's right to republish cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad.
It's amazing how a lot of people don't understand that, French people are now have a target on their back all across the world. And that is like a major threat to them. And okay, how do I do this without committing to whataboutism? Okay.
I really need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right. Let me just focus on myself. Because the way that a lot of people talk about anti-Muslim bigotry and the fact that they are, I don't know, I don't want to do whataboutism. I'm just calling out hypocrisy. Okay, I don't think this is whataboutism. This is pointing out hypocrisy, right? Because there are a lot of people that cry about like, oh my God, Muslims are under attack, and we do mention that again. The Muslims who cry about discrimination, they don't even point out to the right form of discrimination like we do here, for example, right? A lot of them don't. Like when we talk about discrimination against Muslims, we talk about the unfair laws against them. I don't know, maybe like the discrimination against them in India, but most often in China. We talk about the fact that the Muslims being attacked by other Muslims in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq. Muslim minority groups in Pakistan, Muslim minority groups in Iran, who are being oppressed, and we bring that up. But they when Muslims talk about discrimination, they talk about cartoons, right? They don't even talk about they talk about oppression against Muslims as if the cartoons are oppression against them. They talk about that more than the fact that some Muslims were stabbed in Paris in response to the attacks, right next to the Eiffel Tower. Like that's the kind of anti-Muslim discrimination that we bring up here at Atheist Republic. And that got a little bit of a mention, but then it just went right away back to cartoons. That's discrimination, right? But if you want to actually talk about worldwide discrimination, like it would be fair for you guys to also mention, like they keep talking about these online content creators, Muslim online content creators. They keep generalizing French people as if they're all at fault here, and they don't see their own hypocrisy. First of all, nobody's at fault for drawing cartoons, but even when they want to talk about discrimination, they talk about the French this, the French that. And if anybody was talking about Muslims in such general terms, they would be like highlighting that as anti-Muslim bigotry, and rightfully so. But they pretend like most media talks about them in such general terms, even though most media doesn't. Most media is actually extremely careful in not doing that, right? Yet they talk about in such general terms about French people, and they would not go ever, as far as highlighting, I haven't seen any of them mention, like you see here at the Atheist Republic, we highlight all sides. We're like, look, this is a violation of freedom of expression. Look what they're doing to people who are trying to promote freedom of expression. But we also show you the discrimination against Muslims, right? Worldwide, not the cartoons, but actual real discrimination. We show it here at the Atheist Republic. But you could see that, you could tell that you're being brainwashed by the Muslim content creators, a lot of them, again, not all of them. But when you see that they would never, I could bet, like the ones that I follow, they would never mention, but by the way, French people are now at risk all across the planet. Like that, and that's like, what the hell are we doing? Why are French people are being attacked? Why do French people feel like they have a target on their back everywhere on the globe? Like, that is like, if this was done to our community, we would be calling it out. So let's, for the sake of consistency, call that out as well. But go on, Susanna.
To give further context, there has not been a singular report documenting how many people were injured. The state-run Saudi press said that 2 people have been lightly injured, and then a French senator added that a third person, a British national, also suffered minor injuries. No French citizens were reported to be injured, and it is unclear whether France was specifically targeted. But the French ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Ludwig Pioyer, said on Twitter, in this context, the calls for maximum vigilance addressed in recent days to French residents or visitors to Saudi Arabia is renewed. So that's just to your point that French citizens around the globe are being told to basically keep their eyes open for any targets on their back, just as for being French citizens. You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, the threat is there. The threat has been announced. The threat is there. And events like this, whether they're confirmed, I mean, even, I'm not saying there has been successful attacks, but the fact is that the threat is there. I mean, we call out the stress and the threat that exists against Muslims even before the stabbing happened in Paris, right? When the stabbing of the Muslims that happened in Paris happened after we here, for example, at Atheist Republic, warned about the anti-Muslim bigotry that could rise from these Islamic terror attacks, right? So we weren't waiting for an actual event to happen to be able to say that this is a threat against Muslims and Muslims in France need to be protected, right? So in the same way, when we're talking about the threat that exists against French people, somebody will be like, oh, Armin, like this was like not successful, no French people were injured or anything like that. But yeah, but we're consistent. What we're pointing out is that the threat against French people exists right now on a global scale. Even before something, we will mention that even before something actually even before they're successful at harming them.
I have some more notes. Several Muslim countries, such as Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, publicly condemned the attack and supported Saudi Arabia in any measure to preserve its security. The attack in Jeddah follows a number of others in recent events that have targeted France amid the tension surrounding the Charlie Hebdo cartoons, or just generally the right to draw cartoons of the Prophet. Including, there was a event in Nice that included the killing of 3 churchgoers, in which one of the churchgoers in a basilica in Nice was fully beheaded. On the same day as the basilica attack, a Saudi citizen wounded a guard with a knife attack at the French consulate in Jeddah as well, raising fears that France was being targeted by extremists abroad. So this is, again, the second attack on French consulates in Jeddah specifically within the past month. Yes, so I don't know why they're saying that it's not clear that France was a target, but
they're just being careful with their journalism. Yeah. That's what it is.
No, that was no, you're correct. That is the journalist saying that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a responsible thing to do. But go on, Rivka.
I mean, not that this has anything to do with it, but you were saying, French people are walking around with a target on their back, and I just I understand that because a lot of other you know, I mean, I know a lot of Israelis feel that way just because they're Israeli. They have a target on their back. Doesn't matter what they do, say, where they are. And it's just really sad that, especially in this case too, that I really would like to see more support for France, from especially the Anglo media. I mean, we are seeing some, but yeah, and it's just, it's really sad that people are worried about being attacked based on their ethnicity or based on wanting to uphold Enlightenment values and not have people's heads cut off in the street. That is not an extreme position. It is not an extreme position for the president of a country to say, you know what? Stop cutting off heads in my street. I'm going hard against this. You're not going to do this to my citizens anymore. It is not an extreme position at all.
Hear, hear.
All right. Should we go? Yeah, very much agree. Should we go to the next news?
Yes.
All right. Can I clap for the next news? I'm just going to. Next news.
Next news. The NYPD will no longer force women to remove hijab for mugshots in New York City of the United States of America. 2 years ago, 2 Muslim women began a lawsuit against the New York Police Department, or NYPD, claiming they had suffered the same humiliating ordeal. After arrest, while their photographs were being taken, the women were ordered to remove their hijabs, which left them feeling ashamed and exposed. But last week, to settle the lawsuit, the NYPD agreed to amend its policy to now allow religious people to keep their head coverings on while being photographed, so long as their faces were clearly visible. The settlement agreement would apply to hijabs as well as other religious headwear like skull caps and wigs worn by Orthodox Jews or the turbans worn by Sikhs. So, NYPD, what's with this religious privilege?
I'm not sure what's the motivation behind no longer forcing them, because if the idea is
settling the lawsuit,
right? But if the idea is that we could be you're identifiable enough, I mean, is that not? I'm not sure if I'm against this. I'm not sure because I don't want to like cause. If this is a form of religious privilege, then I'm against it, right? But if this is a form of, well, this is not necessary, so we might as well not do it, then I don't have an issue with it. But I can't tell which one it is. What do you guys think, Rivka?
Well, it specifically exempts religious people from. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind. This is bullshit.
Well, and I mean, on some level, I hear what you're saying. It's like half. They're like, it's not that necessary, but it is specific only to religious people. So if you walk in there and you're wearing a hat that says Beastie Boys, and they say you have to take your hat off, and you're like, no, I'm not taking my hat off. You can see my face. They will force you to take that hat off because you don't belong to the church of the Beastie Boys. But if you're wearing a kippah,
right,
they won't take you to force it off. So so religious people get some sort of special something that you and I don't get.
Yeah, they're winning.
It's also interesting though, because in a U.S. passport, you can't wear anything. They don't care. Like, you cannot wear a head covering. You have to take it off.
Yeah, why is this even allowed? Shouldn't like the Freedom from Religion Foundation get involved?
They may. I haven't actually looked at the newsletter. They just came in the mail, but I mean that was written last month or whatever. But
this is a form of religious privilege. Like, this is one laws for religious people and different laws for other people.
Unless we'll see if somebody comes in wearing their Beastie Boys hat or whatever, and they say whatever. We can see your face. It doesn't matter. well then, okay.
Well,
you
this is
know?
where the Pastafarians need to get involved, but I don't know how
Mhm.
likely it is that you would be
Guys,
arrested while wearing
guys,
a colander on your head.
guys, look at this, okay? So think about this. We have the New York Police Department in the United States of America bending the knee to Islam, right? This is if you are not convinced of the level of power and influence that this goddamn ideology has, right? We're talking about the world's largest city, one of the most famous police forces in the world, supposed to be badass people that don't take they don't get intimidated by anything, right? These are supposed to be the people that protect laws and the values that this country is supposed to be standing for. The strongest country in the goddamn planet, right? Its most famous police department is Islam in a country that is not Islamic is coming out and telling the police that we don't like this, and the police is saying, okay. Like, if this is not giving into intimidation by Islam, if this doesn't show you the influence on Islam on the planet on a global scale, where it can make the New York Police Department bend the knee, right, in United fucking States, right? I don't understand how are you going to be convinced about the influence of Islam if they can do this. And guys, again, when you give them this, what do you think is going to happen next? If you give them this, what do you think is going to come next? Do you think they're going to be like, yay, we're done now, we got it, this is happy, we're happy, we're good now, people, we're good now, police department? Or are they going to go be like, we managed to make the New York fucking police department bend the knee to us? I wonder what else we can get. Do you think this win is not going to motivate these fuckers to go out and get more? You idiots. This is going to, oh my God. This is going to motivate. Like, this is like, they smell. Oh, I was gonna say blood, but I don't know. That's gonna come. People are gonna think I'm saying something else. But okay, so Rivka, and then I'm not anti. See, I'm picking Rivka over Susanna. I'm not anti-Semitic. See, I'm go on.
Because I have something to say about New York because I was born there, maybe. But I think that it's not just Islam. I guarantee you, there's a lot of probably Orthodox Jews that are very happy about this as well. And I'm also thinking it's not the New York City Police Department per se, but it's their attorneys and their settlement fund that is saying
that is the New York Police Department.
Well, the actual people like the chief of police or the other people in the department may not be necessarily in line
but
with
that
this.
is part of the. But
that's
that
true,
is part of
but
the
I understand that. But I also think that the motivation is probably number one, to settle this because they don't want ongoing lawsuits. They don't want to pay out a bunch of money. So they're like, okay, we'll just let you take it off. No more money. Also, I think that it's some sort of overcorrection and virtue signaling because they feel like, after 9/11, a lot of Muslims felt bad because we were looking at your mosques and stuff. So here you go, have the hijab. And, honestly, I think there's some of that going on as well. And this, very politically correct environment that exists in a lot of some of these, areas like this.
Susanna.
Well, really quickly, I think it has less to do with 9/11 and more to do with how hard the defund the police movement is going after the NYPD in general. I mean, over this past summer, there's been so much going on with the NYPD, with the riots that they've been seeing throughout the city. But I would like to give further context for a few things about this case. Under the terms of the settlement agreement, the police department will now revise its patrol guide to reflect the new policy and train its officers to, quote, take all possible steps when consistent with personal safety to allow prisoners to keep their headwear on in order to respect their, quote, privacy, rights, and religious beliefs. The department also said that for the next 3 years, it will keep track of any occasions in which it forced prisoners to remove religious headwear. An exemption would be made during searches for weapons or contrabands, or when the officer believes that the, quote, head covering presents a risk of safety to the prisoners or others. The attorney involved in the case said that the agreement did not settle the issue of damages for hundreds, if not thousands, of religious people who over the years were forced to remove their headwear while having their arrest photos taken. Patricia Miller, chief of the Special Federal Litigation Division of the City Law Department, said in a statement issued Monday evening that the settlement agreement was a, quote, good reform for the NYPD. So that's someone from the city's law department.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I wasn't specifically saying that it was 9/11, but I just feel like there's this urge to overcorrect coming after that. And yeah, they definitely are taking a lot of heat. But the fact that they are allowed to say that if it's safety, you have to take it off, which makes sense to me. If you're wearing a scarf that's long all the way around your head, it's very logical that you're not allowed to wear that inside of a prison cell where you could harm yourself or others could use it to harm you.
Yeah.
All right, so
or a turban or
I think it's ridiculous because there are so many identifying factors and features on a person. This is for mugshots, remember. This is to identify individuals who have committed crimes. So think about how many identifying factors are around your neck, around your ears, the color of your hair, the texture of your hair. These are key identifying features on an individual and when police are looking for suspects and stuff. So
just convert to Islam right before your mugshot.
Saying the Shahada
Orthodox Judaism, and you get to wear a wig. So
yeah,
you're wearing a wig one time, and the next time you rob the bank, you're wearing a different wig.
Okay, let me highlight some comments here. Hold just a second. There we go. Rivka. Okay, there we go. All right. So McGee is saying it shouldn't cover any part of the face, front, and side view, as to not defeat the purpose of a mugshot. Might as well use their hijab as hairnets. This person is saying my ski mask is part of my deeply held beliefs. Okay, so yes, so this person
that's perfect.
That is perfect. Isabel is saying that's cool if they apply it to anyone. Let people. I think she meant everyone. Let people wear hats, hoods, bandanas that don't cover the face for fairness. Hannah, I mean, she's being sarcastic here. Yeah. Hannah saying, I think this is a positive development, but still my heart breaks for these women who have been so thoroughly indoctrinated with the belief that their bodies are shameful, that showing their hair causes them this much distress. Well, I agree with the second part. I don't agree that this is a positive development. Marty saying, so does that mean I won't have to remove my, what is this?
Balaclava. That's a ski mask.
Balaclava. I'm from Ireland, and it's our national. It's our national face cover.
It's an IRA joke.
Oh my god! Yeah, I got that. Brian is saying this is stupid to the extreme. How are you supposed to see any distinguishing marks that could be covered with a hijab?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, might as well just let them wear the niqab. You just go all the way.
Yeah.
Just go all the way. Why not? Why not?
Beliefs.
I mean, I would want to argue that technically it's not Islamic if you have female officers or female employees come take your mugshot, and your mugshot is saved somewhere where men are not going to see it, but it's just used for legal purposes. I would want to say that, but I don't. You know why? Because we don't have to negotiate with your religion. It doesn't matter. I don't want to come like, well, technically in your religion this is allowed, which is true. This is allowed if they have actual female officers coming and taking your pictures. And you can't say like, this is my guess. You don't even know your religion. Yeah, you don't even like, yeah, this is allowed in your religion. But I do not want to make that argument. Because who gives a shit what your religion says? It's your religion. It's not the fucking law in the United States. Anyways.
And actually, a lot of times they do have female officers like searching women, and they'll often say, "Do you want a female officer?" So I don't think it matters. But the mugshot you may not be able to have. I mean, whoever's taking the picture that day. But a lot of times there are female officers specifically for women, by the way. Just throwing that out there, regardless of your religion or not.
I'm just saying, even as staff, if they wanted to do a mugshot, it could be in a room where there's only a female taking the picture. But I don't want to make that argument. I just want to throw that out there because I know some people might say that. I'm just guessing, but I'm just saying that we shouldn't even be making that argument because your religion is your religion. But go on.
In 2015, the department altered its policy in an interim order that ensured that when photographs were taken, those who opposed having their headgear removed could be taken to a private room at police headquarters to be photographed without their heads covered by someone of the same gender. However, that was not incorporated into the patrol guide. But to what you were saying earlier, when the officer snapped photos of her bare head and hair from several angles, she felt naked. And then one of the one was talking about how several male officers stared at the image of her uncovered head as they stored it in the police database, deepening her shame.
The officers were jacking off to the images of my hair.
That's the thing with having their headwear removed in a private room to be only photographed by someone of the same gender. Like, there's still going to be people of the opposite gender having access to that photo, so that's not going to be good enough for them. It's never going to be good enough for them.
Maybe they shouldn't commit a crime. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, these women violated, or they were both arrested for similar charges of violating orders of protection.
I mean, you're right, Rivka. People are like, oh, I was stressed out, I didn't like it. Oh, I was opposed to other people who have like just a pleasant experience when they're being arrested. It's just like, yeah, this is so pleasant. I'm being put in a police car. I'm being taking the mugshot. It was such a wonderful day at the police station. It was like not stressful. Everything was hunky-dory. It was just great. I really like, what do you, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, of course it's going to be a stress. You committed a crime. You're getting arrested. You're taking your mugshot taken. It's going to be a stressful experience. God damn it, man. But again,
of course, prisoners are human beings. They shouldn't be, but it just made me laugh that they're, so upset.
You shouldn't be mistreated, but you can't demand that, like, you shouldn't be mistreated, but you can't be like demanding the whole thing to be completely stress-free. Like, you might as well be like, I didn't get a massage as well for like,
I missed my show. They made me they wouldn't let me keep my key ring. I mean, come on.
What if the officers, okay, God damn it. I'm going to say something. It's going to get me in trouble. Anyways, let's move on to the next news before I say something that I'm not supposed to say.
Oh boy, last news.
Okay. Can I clap?
Yes, you can.
Next news.
Gay conversion, quote unquote, therapies will be outlawed in Victoria, Australia. The Victorian government is consulting survivors of gay conversion, quote unquote, therapies as it prepares to create legislation to outlaw the harmful practice. Conversion therapy is a fraudulent treatment based on the false belief that a person's gender or sexual identity can be changed or suppressed via methods ranging from electroconvulsive therapy to spiritual intervention. Victorian Attorney General Jill Hennessy said the government had so far consulted with hundreds of key stakeholders, including survivors and LGBTIQ advocacy and religious organizations, to determine the best ways to implement the ban. Quote, we're banning the so-called conversion therapy and making sure the laws we put in place end this harmful, cruel, and bigoted practice once and for all.
Okay, this is technically not good news because I just realized that this was allowed in Australia until recently. What the hell is up? What? How is this? How is this like? How is this only happening now? Are you serious, Australia? I
We're
mean,
not even that far in the States, Armin.
really? Yeah.
Not even close.
But I thought Australia was better than the United States.
So much better.
Okay,
certain states, and so now it's coming to the state of Victoria.
Okay, I mean, congratulations, but what the hell at the same time? Like, how is this stuff allowed until now? Is it just me that gets upset when I hear news like this? When I just realize that this was allowed until like now? Like I look at the glass half empty. Deborah agrees with
I
me.
live in the United States, so like I would love to have this to be. That this is a glass half full. Like my standards are kind of low.
Maybe I'm just pessimistic because
I'm the one who says this glass is full of piss.
Yeah. Oh yeah, see, some other people are agreeing with me. Look at this. James is saying, how is it not already illegal? It's insane. Yeah, see? Okay, some people are saying awesome now to outlaw ABA therapy too. What's ABA therapy?
I don't know what that means.
Yay to humanity, progress, down with religion. Yes, I agree with that. Oh, this is actually flawless. Yeah. Oh wow! Actually, look at Facebook being an idiot. Look at this. This comment got 48 reactions, and it's not showing up at the top. Kita is saying, if people care so much about what others do in bed, it's because there's nothing going on in theirs. LOL. I mean, that's not true, but it's funny enough as a joke.
Doorknob on Heaven is saying, can I buy a Hallmark card that says congratulations and what the hell?
Hey, that's perfect. That's my reaction. That's my reaction to a lot of this news. Like, congratulations on what the hell ? Yes, exactly. That I should make that a T-shirt. Okay, it's illegal everywhere else in Australia. So apparently Victoria was just like behind everywhere else in Australia. Jesus Christ!
Yes,
Victoria.
but
get with the program. But go on.
There are differences state to state. So comparing the Victorian plan with interstate legislation, under the new laws in the state of Queensland, healthcare providers are banned from carrying out conversion practices, but survivor lobby groups say the practices are still happening informally. Informal practices can include counseling and secular or unregulated counseling services, pastoral care, prayer ministry, including deliverance or exorcism, support groups, conferences, rallies, and online interactive coursework or mentoring programs. So what the Victorian plan is seeking to do is they are trying to find a way to not only ban the carrying out of conversion quote-unquote therapies from healthcare providers, explicit healthcare providers, but they're also looking to expand it into how to help ban it in practice informally. So that is really taking this legislation and effort to crack down on this practice expansively.
By the way, just to confirm, Afshin's comment seems to be been removed. I just want to confirm that it was none of us here removed it. I don't know how it was removed. I don't care to follow the laws of the whole country, but you must follow the rules of my Sky Daddy. Yes, Afshin. By the way, Afshin's comment was removed. Guys, sometimes people think that we're removing comments. I don't know. I would never remove Afshin's. Afshin has great comments, right? So I would never remove Afshin's comments. So the fact that Afshin's comments was removed, then you must know that not every comment, because a lot of people, like, not Afshin, but like when these YouTube videos come out, I sometimes go check the comments, and there's always somebody like, yeah, you deleted my comment. And I don't even know who you are. What the hell are you talking? Like, we don't even notice like a lot of the comments. You think like we actively, we put out a video once every like 2 or 3 hours, right? So the fact that people think that we have the time to actually go delete comments off of the other YouTube videos, they just, I'm just ranting about something. We don't heavily monitor the comments, and if you're not seeing your comment and crying about it, then I might get tempted to actually, remove you. Because you're an idiot. But no, Afshin is great. Afshin's comments are great. We do not remove. And he's saying he wasn't swearing or nothing. So I don't know why YouTube automatically removed his comment. Anyways, but that was the last news. Anybody wants to add anything before we go on?
I know what ABA therapy is. It's applied behavioral analysis. It's a type of like
Ghost Bunny answered
behavioral engineering. It's like they use approaches based on like operant conditioning, respondent conditioning, where they're trying to change behavior, but specifically what they consider of social significance. Yes, with regard to autism and other things, but in particular, there's been issues within the autism rights community about the ABA, because oftentimes they're trying to change people's behavior because they think that it's not appropriate socially, or that their behavior is outside of the norm, or they're trying to change behavior of what they call social significant behavior.
Well, it's ABA is extremely complicated. Yeah.
Okay.
So
use like adversives or punishment. So like, for example, like electric shock or bad smells or things like that as a way to, control behavior, this, operant conditioning, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Soha is saying it was the Google moderator team who deleted the comment. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Jesus. By the way, Afshin, Afshin, I wasn't suggesting that you were complaining about anything. Okay, I was just using this opportunity to mention the butthurt people. I wasn't claiming you were butthurt or anything like that. Ghost Bunny is saying, I follow a family YouTube channel who has daughter with autism, and they praise ABA for this child. Well, yeah, I mean, we don't. Yeah, but we have to actually look at the data rather than. I'm not saying, again, Ghost Bunny, I'm not saying you're doing this, but obviously that's not a good way of figuring out whether something works or not, right? YouTubers say everything, so don't trust us, don't trust any other YouTuber, go do your own research. Justice for Afshin. Whoa, Allah is fake. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, Mir Ali saying absolutely commendable the way you cover news on a global scale. Thank you so much, Mir Ali. That's such a great way to finish this live stream. Thank you, Mir Ali.
I put a lot of work into picking the news and writing the news, so I appreciate that.
Some methods were severe. I have an autistic son. I use ABA for him. Okay. Jesus is fake. People, Solomon and Moses are fake. Yes, they are. And it seems like Muhammad is fake as well. I'm still reading up on this. It's very interesting. I should do more live stream about how fake Muhammad is, because most people don't know that. Okay. Anyways, thank you everybody for being with us here. I love every single one of the people who are subscribed or are following us on Twitch or Facebook, and the rest of you could go fuck yourselves because you're not subscribed, and we hate you, and you're scum you're human garbage.
I don't approve
so please
at all.
No, this is true. You just know it. You know it's true. I'm just telling you how it is. If you're not subscribed to Atheist Republic on YouTube, then you could go fuck yourselves, but it's okay. Don't be too upset. You could change that very easily. You could go from not being subscribed to being subscribed, and then all of a sudden everything will be fixed. You stop being a fucking moron to being a genius. After weeks and weeks of consuming your content, you end up being a genius. Okay, so just subscribe and start watching our videos. It really, really helps. I'm telling you, your stupidity would be cured. I promise that, guaranteed. Just watch our videos. All right. Bye, guys.
Jesus, take the wheel.